No Game, No Life, Volume 5, Chapter 4, Part 1. So that's the deal. That is consistent with my grandfather's observations. Is that all right? My hypothesis was indeed correct. Oh, how deep is love? Really? We almost went extinct for this? I want to cry. Hey, looks like your chance, Plum. Amila's all excited now. Sora, I don't get this shit one damn bit, please. Sorry, Zuna, I'm just a useless 18-year-old virgin trash loser who drags blank down, so I don't get it either. But you're smart, Zuna. You'll get it one day. I'm off to take out the trash. You're throwing yourself out, please? Then can I pick you up, please? No, brother is mine. Anyways, brother, get ready. Get ready? Of what am I capable other than getting in your way? There's no way I can beat this game. Only you can. Let's go, Shiro. If you can't do it, who can do it but me? I'm so bored. Unconsciously, I let out a sigh. Oceania is the home of the sirens, at the bottom of the deep sea, at the base of a triple-layered oceanic ridge that towers in like an arc like the crescent moon. Far from the excesses of land, the sea stands pure like the walls of a castle, with no road to connect it to the outside world. Other than the nameless fish and whales, rarely anyone is allowed to visit. Clad in beautiful blue, wrapped in the protection of the water spirits, a city heaped with glittering treasures, a paradise built by the magic of the Dampiers, brilliant with a myriad of hues. But is it a prison? Oh, is there anything fun? Fed up with everything, I pout. The songs and dances all bore me. Of fine delicacies I've had my fill. Oceania, a perpetual den of pleasure. Beauty, riches, love. It's all here. Since the time I was born, all of it belonged to me. And for that reason I can never be fulfilled. Because out of everything, it is I who am the most beautiful, the most valuable treasure. However wonderful as may be the things in this world, they can never compare to me. But suppose, somewhere, there is something that I might desire? That would be love, true love, beautiful and wonderful, an everlasting bond, the supreme treasure, which even gods must covet. My innocent soul, defiled by no one, waits in the city of dreams for him, my eternal lover, who will grant me that which I do not have, the prince who will quench the thirsting of my heart. Waiting for him I have slept. How long has it been? What difference does it make? Time means nothing in so far as he comes not to greet me. If my heart is not filled, my life shall remain empty forever. Asciante. Now a voice comes and revives my awareness. It seems I have another visitor. These silly men who come to call on me. These adorable fools who fall before me when I grant them the slightest of smiles. I have no hope for this man either. True love does not come easily. But waiting as long as I have, frustration is inevitable. Well, why not? I have nothing better to do, anyways. I'll go play with him a bit. However worthless the man may be, he should at least be good for killing time. Yes, this time I'll be very nice to him. I'll be all smiles. I'll butter him up. I'll captivate him. And then, when the time comes, I'll jilt him mercilessly. Then maybe even that fool will come to understand. Love? What? A young man's voice falls from the sky. You want love? You want love, he asks. Well, of course. Yes, I do. Are you going to give it to me? In that case, I'll give it to you. You are shock. An impact rocks the sea. Overhead the sky is split. I don't know how else to describe it. Cracks big enough to see from under the sea shatter the sky, and it rains down like giant pieces of glass, stabbing into the ocean. the heavens and the sea stained red as blood. Amidst the shards, the source of the voice, too, descends into the depths. Here it comes, all for love. The sky is falling down. Ha! An amenity man with dark eyes and black hair, wearing a shirt with I Heart PPL written large over his chest. Beside him, in contrast, an amenity girl, with white hair and red eyes, both with fluttering jet-black capes that suggest the devil. They announce with wicked smiles, "Pleased to meet your acquaintance, Sleeping Beauty, and excuse us for disturbing your rest. We are Sora and Shiro." Sup? Now here's an angle. Many men have come to woo me in many scenarios, but this is the first time I've seen this approach. But this still isn't it. What I want is true love, not mere novelty. Good day, dream visitor. How nice of you to come. That should be it. There is no man who can resist my voice, my charm. Oh, sorry, we're not actually here. Useless, useless, useless. You're shouting into the current. No offense. Also... The man smirks and then continues. You are shock. Here I come. With my squad. The sky is falling down. Yo. Another shock. With it, the sea breaks, and the red sky that peeps through. Eek! A strangled gasp. The sky elicits instinctive revulsion and fear, an inevitable consequence of the giant baby monsters that suddenly fill it. Through the pandemonium races one monstrous girl, a halo over her head, wings of light spreading from her hips. Even fools are charming when they sleep, but a fool who annoys even when sleeping. There is much to be seen in this world. Behind her, hundreds of incarnations of slaughter, manifestations of ruin. Flugel? Brother, it is not quite soul-crushing enough. You're right. If we wanted to perfectly reenact that horrible ending from Drakengard, we should have brought real Flugel. But we've already sealed off Israel's power, and it seems as if they're having a lot of fuss in the council right now. We had to resort to makeshift decorations, except for Jabril. Please fret not, master. I shall make up for it by doing the work of several hundred Flugel. Even as the man carries on his incomprehensible conversation, he looks down at me and says, Come, let the game begin. Make me fall in love. What? Having said this, the man points to the highest tower in Ocean, to the chamber of the queen, and says, We're over there. If you can get there and seduce me, that won the game. The heavens writhe. Countless gigantic babies fall from the crimson-stained sky. The Flugel spread their wings and fly around like symbols of death itself. He's telling me to navigate this? By the way, master, do you mind if I eradicate this city with a single blast? The Flugel fidgets as she poses this question. Meanwhile, I freeze. Sure, no problem. Blow away everything, including the queen. It'll all come back together in a few seconds. It's just a dream after all. Jabril, you can use as much force as you want. There's no limit. So, knock yourself out. I do say, I grow excited. And then the two amenities turn to me once more. Also, when we set up the scenario, we added your friends, acquaintances, and family, too. At these words, in a rush, I look around. Since when were they here? My mother, my nurse, my handmaids, even my sisters, whose names I do not remember, all wail simultaneously. So you can pretty much guess how this is going to go down. Smiling wryly and scratching his head. Even those dear to you are going to be devoured by those falling babies, sliced up by Jabril, blown away, etc. Well, you know, all kinds of shit happens to you. Yeah, I'll say it again, but damn, that game was a hardcore. Brother, you got me to play it, saying it was the best game ever, and super touching. I'll never forgive you. I'm sorry, it was just too traumatic for me to bear alone. But anyways, with that, the two who call themselves Sora and Shiro speak together. From here on, no one will save you as you rise to your death. Let's see how long you suffer before you succumb. And with big smiles, they say, Die, maggot. Spreading her wings at this remark, the Flugo opens her mouth. Now, if I may, number 1, Jabril. The halo above her head complexly transfigures itself, becoming giant, multi-layered, not unlike a magic circle. Her wings lose form as if spewing energy, and a column of light like a lance sways in her hands. I give my master heartfelt thanks for granting me this opportunity. To use my full, unadulterated, unrestrained, unreserved power, 100%, heavenly smite. Here it is. With only these words remaining, the world is extinguished in white. Meanwhile, Ocean, the chamber of the queen. Yay! Miss Jib is so cool! Amelia raised a cheer towards the underwater projector displaying the queen's dream. Around her, a crowd of sirens likewise cheered and danced like mad. Sprawled limp on the floor were Sora, Shiro, and Jabril, who had dived into the dream, and Plum and the Dampiers, who had used up all of their strength to transport them there and build its world. Also present were Steph, eyes rolling as the aging werebeast Ino Hatsutse, to whom Izuna clung. Surveying in turn the 3 lying unconscious in the floor and the projector, Ino asked, I wonder, precisely what is going on in here? Crampy, we came to save your ass, please. Get down and give thanks on your hands and knees, please. As Izuna rubbed her face in the belly of her grandfather, Inu, Steph answered on the young girl's behalf. A lot of things happened while you were in Ocean. Yes, quite a lot of things. But this not being much of an explanation, Inu just kindly held the grandchild, who clung to him as he looked on in confusion. I would appreciate it if you could offer an explanation a bit less cryptic. Don't worry about it. I hardly understand it myself. Let me just give you a message from Sora for now. Ahem. Steph cleared her throat. We figured out how to wake up the queen. When we told the sirens, they got all excited and gave you back and said, Do what you want. He said, I'm afraid my comprehension is only further clouded. He also said, Relax, we're going to wake up the queen, and we're not going to let Siren or Dampier go extinct. We're playing a game where we've sworn that by the covenants. You'll see what we mean when you watch us beat the game. And also, with a final titter, Steph continued, Izuna missed you, so I'll leave her here. You got a good granddaughter, Gramps. That is that so? Dropping a smile at the pleasure of his granddaughter's nuzzling, Inu thought to himself, I understand that man Sora even less than I did before. A cheer went up. Jabril's second heavenly smite had thundered. The sirens enjoyed their celebration of it, while Plum haltingly chided. Your Highness Amelia, you see, I totally understand where you're coming from, but perhaps some discretion would be in... What? Oh, Plum, you can go ahead and say it too, you know. Amelia continued with the smile of a stainless saint. The suffering of a stupid bitch makes everything delicious. Her smile might have been stainless, but it was wholly absent in her eyes. Look, Amelia even opposed cutting off her sense of pain, but see, we are being discreet. Indeed, it was a dream. No one and nothing was actually being harmed. On top of that, when Sora and crew had entered the Queen's dream, they'd asked Plum to block the Queen's pain receptors. This was a dream after all. There was no discomfort. It must not be forgotten. There was a purpose behind all of this, but this isn't something to take Miss Izuna to, is it? Truly indeed. I must commend King Sora's moral sensibilities in deeming it inappropriate for children. The hell is going on, please? Izuna, her face still buried in Ino's belly, unable to see the display, asked in apparent curiosity, but the spectacle projected before them, Plum could only describe as hell, no, more like a nightmare. Indeed, it was a sight that, even without any sexual content, would unquestionably fall afoul of moral regulations. Even Steph had heard about it. the full power of Flugel, the heavenly smite. A single toss of that lance of light had vaporized the sea and turned the ocean of the dream into a crater. But it was a dream. Everything would be mended in a few seconds. Like a small child smashing a clay sculpture, Jabril rained down further destruction. At this cycle of destruction and restoration, Jabril smiled, or perhaps more accurately, leered, and flung her arm indiscriminately. Each time the ridge was shattered and a trench opened up, shallowing the ocean floor. As if that wasn't nightmarish enough, forgetting Jabril, the fake Flugel were also blithely wreaking havoc. The baby monsters, inspiring instinctual revulsion and fear, devoured the dream's bit players. And spectating sirens were getting off on this hard. It was messed up. What? Well, I do sympathize in a way, given the circumstances, but It does seem a bit excessive, speaking as one who does not know the circumstances. Grasping the situation, but not the strategy, Steph had to agree. There's never been a day I didn't curse Lord Tet for setting down the 10 Covenants, but... Plum quavered with a pale face, enough to faint, for the spectacle projected before them probably, no definitely, would have qualified as a mere skirmish before the 10 Covenants, in the age of the Great War. Your ancestors lived through this. My deepest respects. I just want to know how humanity managed to survive this. Both humanity and Weird Beast had to face this. Upon our return, I must take up my studies of history once more. It does seem a bit excessive, speaking as one who does not know the circumstances. Grasping the situation, but not the strategy, Steph had to agree. There's never been a delay I didn't curse Lord Tet for setting down the 10 Covenants, but... Plum quavered with a face pale enough to faint, for the spectacle projected before them probably, no definitely, would have qualified as a mere skirmish before the 10 Covenants, in the age of the Great War. Your ancestors lived through this. My deepest respects. I just want to know how humanity managed to survive this. Both humanity and Werebeast had to face this. Upon our return, I must take up my studies of history once more. Their eyes rolling back in their heads, the 3 onlookers were independently inspired with the same thought. Lord Tet, thank you for setting down the 10 Covenants. The first blow vaporized the sea. Layla had no choice but to crawl the parched earth. She couldn't breathe. The sun beating down on the exposed seafloor consumed her flesh. There was no pain, but her energy was sorely drained. The repeated Flugel attacks gave no respite for the sea to return. In a loop of vaporization and regeneration, the sea stripped the queen, stripped Layla, unconditionally for its protection. And then the baby monsters raining from the blood-colored sky rampaged down to devour her. There was no water. She couldn't swim. The race beloved of the sea. Without the sea, even their charm. I made it. Have I? How many days had passed? Or had it only been minutes? Dragging her body, Layla finally arrived at the foot of the tower. Behind her, the smoldering flames of hell still roared. The heavens were blanketed with laughter and the light of destruction, the earth with countless dying wails. Fear driving her to muster her strength, she opened the door and leapt through the threshold. When she felt at her back the shock and din of the city exploding again, but Layla collapsed in relief, for inside the tower was water. This was where Sora and Shiro were supposed to be, and therefore the one place even the Flugel attacks could not destroy. It seemed. If there was water, then she could breathe, and even charm. At last, she thought. What nerve you have to do this to me? Catching her breath, Layla, at her core, now seized with rage. Make me fall in love? That's just fine. I'll see it that you pay the tab for making a fool of me. With a swish of her tail, Layla ascended the water-filled tower with terrible speed. The Queen of the Sea, she who has everything, everyone bows before me. I can't believe you would try something like that. I don't know what you're thinking, but I hope you don't think I'm just going to make you get down on your knees. If I can just get in one word, that'd be the end. I'll sing a song. Make him a crawling slave. Make him lick the ground. Then cast him pathetically aside and throw him out into the trench of despair. Once he gets out of the dream, my charms will convince him that reality is the true nightmare, and my rejection will make him want to die. With a wickedly warped smile, she surged through the water as if flying, and soon she reached the top floor, the door to the chamber of the queen, the chamber where her body should lie. Make way! That was all. The current slammed to open the door, as if breaking it down. Yes, in the sea, Layla was power. Before the volume of water spirits she possessed, everything in the ocean would kneel to her. It was simple law. Nothing could defy it. It superseded even some forms of magic. Even the spirits employed in elf rites would take Layla's side. Things she could not tame in this world did not exist. With unshakable confidence, no, fact, Layla at last arrived. Sora and Shiro, dolled up like the devil. Sora strode forwards to greet her with a theatrical, impudent grin. Made it this far, have you? Your foolishness is hilarious. However, it delights me that you are progressing. Brother, enough of that. What? Shiro, how dare you skip my dialogue? I had it all ready. While the two played out their farce, Layla faced them with eyes burning in anger. They had made a trifle of her, all right, but it was time they paid. And so the queen, Layla, formed words in a voice that would make the heavens swoon. Now, are you done playing? Crawl before me. Yes, let's start by having him crawl. Then we can take our time and entice him until his brain melts. However, the reply she received made Layla doubt her own ears. Hey, were you listening? I said make me fall in love. Do you have anything sexy to say? She was dumbfounded. The man and girl before her, upon hearing her voice that captivated all, regardless of sex, simply grinned back at her confrontationally. Putting up a front. Layla clicked to herself. As long as they were in the water, there could be no exemptions. Their gray matter must have already been numb with yearning. So, time to test just how long those iron masks would hold. Oh yes, I'm sorry. I got carried away and said something rude. Wetting her eyes sensually, Layla spoke pleadingly. I want you to listen to my true feelings and feel them. I want you. Can you please give me what I want? With not just her voice, but her every move, a binding force more violent than brainwashing was at work. Despite her imploring tone, it was mere input, a command that could not be blocked. At her irresistible, unconditional charm, Sora, trembling all over, answered her call. No thanks. I got goosebumps. Sorry, not happening. Huh? Look, let me just come out and say it, but you ain't my type. What? And then, under the rule that you're supposed to make me fall in love, the first thing you say is, crawl before me, followed by, I'm sorry. And now you're saying those weren't your true feelings? I feel like I've seen you in some meme about crazy bitches to avoid. I can't believe HOS like you really exist. Layla stood stunned. It wasn't a front. He really didn't feel her charm. How was it possible? Did they really mess with the dream? No, not even elf magic could have been capable. It made no sense. But one thing was for sure. This man had come with genuine conviction that he would not fall in love with her. Then the man looked to the girl beside him for confirmation of something. She nodded and he said, Yeah, I finally get to say it, 'cause everyone always thought that this was a romance game. No one's told you before, right? I'm going to speak for everyone so far, including the old guy, and give you the business, okay? Drawing a deep breath, Sora let it fly. Don't you know how old you are? Sleepwalking around, prattling like a goddamn moron? I mean, who the hell do you think you are, dumbass? What, you think it's only natural for everyone to be nice to me? Even kindergartners these days are quicker on the uptake than you, bitch. Seriously, do even Do you even know how many years you've been asleep? 800 years, bitch. 800 years! You think, oh, I'm like such a princess, waiting for my prince for years and years. You're over 800 years old, Grandma. You want to know how old you are? You're too friggin' old. Sure, I love those characters with ridiculous ages, but they're cool because they've got brains, right? And anyways, you're like, there's no man who wouldn't fall for me. But look at yourself, man. It pisses me off. You call yourself a woman, then show some grace. Sexiness only means something if it's bundled with humility. Are you one of those? You know, the ones who think if a guy tells them to take their clothes off, they can just drop them? Or one of the others? Those typical so-called cosplay or glasses porno actresses who take off their costumes or glasses when they have sex. Those dumbasses with a romance quote in like the 10th percentile at best. If you think the more skin you show the better, then stop being half-assed about it and just go live as frickin' nudist. Dude, why should I even have to try to pick up some bitch I don't like? Think about it, man. It's just a waste of my goddamn time and effort. I might as well just hit on some 2D girls. I'd get way more out of it, especially in terms of cost performance, all while protecting my heart and wallet. Oh yeah, and just let me add one more thing before I wrap up. You got these water spirits or whatever, I don't know, but something granting you charm from the shadows. But honestly, your face score is barely above average, and it's the worst among all the chicks I hang with. You should look in a damn mirror and figure that out, you sponge brain. Sort of spewing this all at once with no room for argument, smiled in relief. I feel so much better. Great, I said my piece. Now I'm done with this game. Ciao. Huh? Hey, wait. Nope. Did you enjoy wasting your time in this unwinnable game? See ya, sucker! With that, Sora and Shiro whisked out of existence, as if they really had ended the game. Then, the dull percussions that had been carrying on in the background stopped, and in Layla's heart, an entirely different sound quietly resounded. Now this is totally gonna make her snap. That should do it, right, Shiro? Brother, for the win. EXA props. To the brother, nodding in self-satisfaction, the sister raised her thumb. The chamber of the queen erupted in the thunderous applause from the sirens who had enjoyed the fine show. By contrast, there was the blithe silence of those with common sense, like Steph. Sora and Shiro had given the queen a magnificent nightmare and returned without bothering to woo her, dumping the game. Only one of them was completely baffled as to their reasoning. Just one. That was most amusing. It will be a storm of envy when I tell everyone. Having pushed the boundaries of a devastation to her heart's content in the queen's dream, Jabril's consciousness now awoke to reality. Her skin seemed to have taken on a certain luster, and probably actually had. But those who didn't understand the purpose behind any of it, again like Steph, cast questioning looks. So what was the point of all that? Confronted with the silent treaty, Sora assumed a grin that said, "Don't ask me." Sora had just done what Shiro told him to. In other words, brother, just be yourself. That summed it up. Just say whatever comes to mind, to troll the living hell out of her, till she has a meltdown. That was all. It did hurt his feelings a bit, having his sister call that being himself. But if Shiro said so, if his little sister was sure that this was the solution, Sora had no reason to doubt it. He needed only to carry out those instructions faithfully. Yes, devotedly. Just then, crick. Suddenly a crack formed in the ice between the queen slumbered in. Huh? To the stupefaction of everyone assembled there, except Sora and Shiro, the crack spread. The crystal-clear ice turned stark white as the crack spread like tendrils, and then it shattered, sending sparkling particles scattering like stardust. As the motes of ice danced, reflecting the ambient light, the queen's eyes flitted open ever so slightly. Before this uncanny spectacle, everyone stood speechless. Hey, come on, come on! Too bad the 10 Covenants won't let me hit you. Lel, baby. Everyone except Sora, who having been given leave by Shiro to troll, wasn't about to stop. Incredible! Is it really possible for a human to be so obnoxious? Paying no heed to Steph as she crossed that line of respect, the queen slowly rose from her throne. Brother, that's enough. Oh, really? I was really getting into it. With a graceful sweep of her tail, dancing and carrying herself with light ease, the queen approached Sora. Fantastic sight. Yet the queen's face was red and with burning. No, mild. Anger as she swam to face Sora. And then, how I've waited for you, my prince! Going so far as to make hearts of her eyes, she threw herself at Sora's feet. What? The entire throne room was dumbstruck, but Sora as if on guard. Hey, Shiro, the hell's this? Some kind of fake-out? Jittery, he turned to his sister as he was suddenly overwhelmed by a sense of déjà vu. Of a time he had pwned someone online with a trick that was just too dirty, and then they'd ended up having to hurriedly relocate as it seemed his opponent had tracked down his address and was planning to deliver a beatdown. Painful memory from his previous world. Recalling this trauma, Sora feared he might have gone too far, but Shiro casually reassured him. No, this is fine. We win. Ah, I see now. As Shiro claimed victory, her expression contemptuous, Steph, Plum, Jabril, and Amila finally understood. The queen, Layla, carried on making a spectacle of herself. Oh, sister of my heart, please, insult me more. Hey, is this chick funny in the head? As Sora gesticulated desperately at Layla writhing at his feet, Steph remembered the meeting before the game had started and the tale she'd found in the old king's study. The treasure of the prideful princess. Taking its conclusion into consideration, she finally grasped Shiro's intent. Yes, it would seem so. A tale of a beautiful princess, a princess who had everything, beauty, riches, and love. The insatiable longing of the princess for something more than everything. One man put an end to it. The princess had received all that was, from every man, yet her desire went unquenched, until the man with the dagger. A wondrous treasure beyond the princess's belief. Death moved her, and thus it ends. Yes, it was the tale of a princess consumed by greed, and how she was slain. But the queen must have... It seems that my grandfather's identified the tale that inspired the queen to sleep, and from that, he surmised that because she had everything, she sought the one thing she'd lacked. An unobtainable love. But still... The previous king, her grandfather, had come up with a rather poetic interpretation. Steph sighed, and then looked at Shiro, the architect of the game that had just played out. Yes, the queen, all loved. Had everything, so didn't value it. That's why she wanted this. Finally seeming to catch up, Ino took over with a sense of deep reverence. I see. She wished for one with whom she could fall in love, who would never return her affection. Put bluntly, or leaving it to Shiro's interpretation, basically she was in love with a love. She wanted a love that would go unrequited. Well, that could possibly be even blunter. Like so. She wanted to be humiliated, just like Steph. Like who? Steph gaped stupidly with this query. Jabril, having come to the same conclusion, clapped her hands. I see. In the tale, the man who slew the princess did not seek her love, meaning that, for the princess, that man was the one she could not possess. What is the point? It was Sora's voice, raised in astonishment. After all, that suggested a woman who wanted what others had. That is, one who'd engage in an affair after affair. Fundamentally, that made her the very definition of a dysfunctional broad, didn't it? What? So in other words, if the one she loves her back and kills it for her? What an annoying bitch. Oh, Yes, I'm an annoying bitch. I'm sorry. Queen Lila, shamed and reviled, squirmed in ecstasy. I shall give you all my rights. Someone should have taken more note of the implication of this. Apparently the only one who got it. Shiro verbalized the situation. Brother, you have all her rights. So be nice. And step on her. Well, okay. Uh-huh. Do it harder, please. Plum, with her damp ears up to this point, had been incapable of anything but frowning. And this is why we nearly perished as she slept for 800 years. Plum, having been debriefed, albeit not this much in detail, sighed so deeply as to spew out her soul. But as Plum and her kin rolled their eyes, the mortified queen exclaimed, What? I really was asleep for 800 years? But all you had to do to beat the game was kick my ass instead of falling in love with me. Are you guys stupid? 10 Covenants say we can't do that. You're the stupid one, you goddamn sponge brain. Oh, yes, I'm a stupid sponge brain. Even ignoring the 10 Covenants, Layla's charm was so overwhelming that not even Jabril or the Shrine Maiden could defy it. Falling in love with Layla, a feat likely unprecedented thanks to her absolute power, was more or less impossible. Who would have suspected that she'd set just what any siren or Dampier would have gladly done but couldn't, that is, bust her a good one, as the solution all along. Do you see now, Mr. Inu, why the sirens rejoice so? Yes, I suppose. How shall I describe this? Tee hee hee. Sora, this show you've given us has been wonderful, but while you're at it, could you hit that a little harder for Amila? Yeah, hit her so hard her head caves in. Oh, I beg you, too, my master. Please hit me. Hit me. As Amila looked up at him leering, brimming with bloodlust, and as Layla, eyes sparkling, reiterated her request, Sora asked, Hey, Jabril, what is love? Jabril replied, smiling at her master, who was diligently averting his gaze to the ceiling. Is it not exactly as Plum stated? It is what you make of it. Meanwhile, a short distance away, Ino was talking with Azuna, deeply moved. It is true. Love indeed comes in many forms. I myself am yet green around the edges. Hey, Grampy, I still don't get what the hell is going on, please. That is very well, Azuna. One day you will understand. But Sora sighed, and wondered, is that really how it is? I have a feeling I'm never going to understand. And with no one but the Queen, Layla, satisfied, this ridiculous game, for now, came to an end. I'm going to leave this brief as the ending because I feel like I'm just going on in most of these. Probably not going to do much of an ending from now on. Man, that rant was... that was like the best thing ever. Just absolutely demeaning her. But man, I didn't think the book would go this way either. Where she's like, oh yes, harder, daddy. Like, man, that is... that's awkward. Can't imagine that animated. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I suppose I'll see you guys next time. Bye.